here. Shonda's here.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Steve Mahoney. I am a mentor with the Greater Hartford chapter of SCORE. I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague, Sarah Bletcher. Sarah is going to be providing a wealth of marketing advice for small businesses. We're going to be talking about best ways to avoid wasting money. 8 to 10 tips, it looks like. Sarah's got a wealth of knowledge. So I'm glad everybody could join today. Before we jump in, I wanted to spend a minute or two and talk a little bit about SCORE. We are a nationwide organization made up of about 10,000 volunteers all over the country, and our sole mission every day is to help small business owners. We provide mentoring services, workshops, and webinars like this one, and we have a host of resources in our online library. If you are interested in learning more about SCORE and sign up for mentoring services, you can do so at score.org. You can select Find a Mentor, tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of help you need, whether it's marketing, finance, legal operations, whatever kind of help you need. More than likely, we've got somebody who can help you out. We've got volunteers from all walks of life and all sorts of industries and experience. And the best part is all of our services are free. So feel free to check that out at score.org. Before we jump in, a couple logistics. We are recording this session and we'll have it distributed later, available on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in revisiting any of the content, we've also muted everybody's microphones, but we do want to hear from you. So if you have any questions or comments, please put it in the chat box. I will keep an eye on that and let Sarah know when we've got a question or insight to add to the conversation. And I think that's everything. Sarah, I am going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. I can see Angela and Bernadetta and Debbie and Ellen and Gino and Lori and Michael, Rob, Shonda, Tom, William, and more. Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Sarah Bletcher, and I am owner of Bletcher Digital Marketing out of Simsbury, Connecticut. Woo-woo! So today we're going to talk about my absolute favorite subject in the entire world, and that is marketing. And I'm going to tell you about, originally it was 8 ways, but I couldn't hold back. So you got 2 bonus ways of saving money on your marketing plans. So my background, I worked, owned a digital agency in New York City. We had 50 people. We had lots of high-end clients. And then I had 2 children. That was the monkey wrench in my plans. And I separated from the agency and started doing my own thing. So I've been in marketing for well over 20 years. And I have sold everything from lens care solution to batteries to shampoo to flowers. If it's been sold, I've probably tried to sell it. But what I'm going to be talking about today specifically is not solutions for large scale companies that are trying to market their products, but really small businesses. And there's a big difference. So a lot of the things that you're going to see online are going to be recommendations and advice for companies that are larger. And so today I'm going to focus on when you're a little bit on the smaller side, what are the ways that you can go about marketing and actually spend too much money or waste your money. So if we are ready to go, I think I'm gonna try to share my screen if this is at all possible. If you guys are ready. The good news is, a couple good pieces of good news. You can have this presentation afterwards, so you can kind of sit back, relax, and just listen. If you have questions, ask them along the way. And my lovely friend Steve will pop in with your questions so that I can answer it then. If there are questions that happen, after this presentation, there's some contact information at the end. Just email me, I'll answer. So today, yay, we're going to be talking about 10 ways small businesses waste marketing money, which I hate to see because I know that marketing budgets are really tight for small businesses and the need to get new clients is really big. So we're going to jump right in, if that's okay with everyone. And the first way you're wasting money if you don't get in front of your customer 5 to 7 times. If you remember nothing about this entire presentation, this is the one to remember. When we are trying to sell something, depending on what we're trying to sell, we have to get in front of a customer a certain amount of times. If I am trying to sell this beautiful mug, I can't put in front of you once and you click the add to buy button. It takes 3 times. I got to put this mug in front of you 3 times. If I want to sell you a car, it's going to take 14. I have to get in front of you 14 times before you're going to buy my vehicle. But most companies, most products, the transaction happens, the conversion happens after 5 or 7 touches. And this makes perfect sense, right? So when you go out into the world, let's say you're out in your town and someone says, "Hey, would you like to buy my t-shirt?" You're like, "Who are you and what shirt and why?" Um, if that person is your best friend and they come up to you and say, "Would like to buy a t-shirt," you're kind of like, "Okay, what's it for?" And the only difference between your answers is your relationship with the person who asked. So the first time you get in front of somebody, they don't know who you are. The second time, the third time, the fourth time, those are all called brand awareness. And then touches 5 through 7 is when the person's actually comfortable enough with you to convert. So let's say you go out to the marketplace and you get in front of a customer 4 times. You pay to get in front of them 4 times. You've just wasted your money because it takes 5 to 7. So when you're thinking about marketing and when you're thinking about your plan and when you're thinking about your budgets, you have to make sure that that plan includes getting in front of somebody 5 to 7 times. Now, when does this happen? Usually when you're really excited about launching a new business and you have this giant launch campaign, and then you spend a whole month telling everybody about what you're doing, and then you stop. You're like, "I spent all my money on my launch campaign. Where, like, have the customers roll in?" Typically, they won't roll in because marketing is about consistency over time so that you can create a relationship where the person's comfortable enough to buy. The other thing that I've seen where people don't get in front of someone enough times is if you buy ads across too wide a geographic area, there's something in ad buying where it's called frequency, and you might only get in front of somebody 2.5 times or 3 times. If you buy ads across too wide a geographic area and you only touch somebody 3 times, you've just wasted your money because we haven't gotten to the top threshold of 5 to 7. Now, whether it's actually 5 to 7 is going to depend on your product. So again, if you're selling a t-shirt, it's maybe 3. If you're selling expensive consulting services that use $100 an hour or $1,000 consulting services, it's going to be more like 10, 12, 14. The other thing that I've seen where someone doesn't get in front of a customer enough times is they say, "Oh, I found this influencer. They have 50,000 people on their feed. She's going to mention me or he's going to mention me on her feed once or twice." And what they don't realize is that you've been introduced to 50,000 people, but only twice. So you may get a few people to your website, but they won't convert. And you'll say, "Oh, I spent all that money and I didn't get any conversions." And the reason is that was the beginning of the touch points, and we haven't gotten to 5 to 7 where we can convert. How's everybody doing? Are you guys, can you see all right? Is everybody with us?
I think we're good. No
Okay.
questions so far.
Great. So I'll keep going. I like to chat. So the number 2 way you know you're wasting money if you tackle too broad of an audience. So in marketing, when I get a client and they say, "I want to go, sell contact lens solution to anyone who's between the ages of 10 and 100, it's really hard for me as a marketer to come up with a message that's going to resonate with someone who's a preteen versus someone who's lived a long life and has grandbabies. I don't have enough. I'm not able to pick out some part of life, something that I can connect with you on in order to have a message that resonates. So every target audience should have its own sales pitch and ad campaign. If I'm selling contact lens solution to a teenager, I'm going to think about that teenager's life. What's happening? They don't want their glasses. It's that awkward phase. What's happening at high school? And is there anything in their world right now and in pop culture that I can grab onto and put into my ad in order to sell that contact lens solution? The message that I'm going to give a grandmother is going to be completely different. It's going to be about seeing her grandbabies clearly. It's going to be about, making life a little bit easier, making life a little bit better, and maybe more reminiscent of things in the past. So every target audience, even though you're selling the same item, would have a different pitch. And if you go too broad, me as a marketer, all I can do is say, buy my contact lens solution. And the message, buy my contact lens solution, doesn't connect as well. It doesn't convert as well as something where I grab a piece of life and I attach it to the contact lens solution and create an ad that has meaning for you. One of the big things that I've heard, this is, they say, I'm targeting women. And I say, have you met us? We're all different. We have type A women who have everything organized and planned in their entire lives. And we have bohemian women who are like, do not plan anything for me. The universe is going to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, and I don't want to be put into a box. You know, we have teens who are going through certain life moments. And then we have empty nesters that are feeling a little sad that their children are off and now into college or to life. And what are they going to do now that all of that is over? And then, of course, we have women who are lower income versus someone who's like Kardashian level of income. And those women do not have the same life experience. So when I'm creating an ad for someone who's in some of these situations and not in others situations, and I can create an ad that resonates with them, with their worldview, with the things that they care about in life, and get them closer to connected to the product, at which point we have a higher conversion rate. I hope that makes sense. So number 3, are you ready? Your headline doesn't communicate your value. There's a famous ad guy, Ogilvy, and he says you should spend 90% of your time on your headline. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is people don't read. They don't. They will read a headline for an article and share it without reading the article. So the headline really matters. And what the trap we usually fall into is writing a headline that tells people what you do, not how you are better than all the other options. So when I write a headline, and I've done lots of this in my career, you test headlines. You know, when you're a small business, it's harder because your budgets are smaller, but when you're a big business, you test lots and lots of headlines. And what we found is that a headline that says, I'm selling mugs, does not do as well as how this mug is better than all the other mugs and keeps your coffee warm the entire 1-hour commute you have into your job. So when you're looking at your headlines for any of your ads, it needs to include a value. And the top 4 values, there are lots of them. You could go on Google and type, you know, product value, user value proposition, user value statement. But the big ones are, it's better quality or longer lasting. It's faster, it makes you faster, or it's more convenient to get to. It's cheaper and or the best bang for your buck. So it doesn't have to be the cheapest item, but let's say there were a couple cable packages that were less expensive, but if it included HBO, that's the one everyone picked. And then the last one is more enjoyable. Enjoyable has to do with the senses. I like the way it looks, it sounds, it feels, smells. But those are the 4. So when you're writing your headline, if it doesn't include one of those 4, or you can go on Google and find other user selling propositions, then you're going to have a harder time converting people. And when you put an ad out there, you're paying for that ad. And if your conversion rate is lower, you're wasting a lot of money. And it's one of the easiest ways to actually boost your conversion rates is to make sure your headlines always communicate that you're either better, longer lasting, faster, more convenient, cheaper, best bang for your buck, more enjoyable, in order to get more people over. You know, we've gotten our 5 to 7 touches, and now we have our value statement that gets them from thinking about it to converting. Number 4, are we ready? You don't have a special offer running at all times. So back in the day, they had some stores that popped up and they were called everyday low prices. Those stores are all out of business because it turns out that we get a huge zing in our brain when we see a sale or a discount or a 2-for-1 or a special offer. Now, if I'm selling consulting services versus I'm selling a product, my offer looks a lot different. If I'm selling a product, then I can do all the classic buy one, get one, % off, $1 off, that kind of thing. Or if you're a luxury item, luxury product, you always do a gift. You never discount, you always do an extra gift. Let's say though, I'm a consultant or I do PR consulting, or I do healthcare consulting, then the special offer is actually a piece of content or some information that I need that I can't get elsewhere. So it might be 10 things to do when mom has fallen and can't go back to her home. Now that mom's fallen and can't go back to her home, what are the 10 things that you need to do? And I might give you my email address in order to get that. So that would be the equivalent of the special offer. There's also value adds, like free shipping is the number one thing. If you offer nothing else, free shipping over and over is always the number one offer. You can also add on things like white glove service if it's something that's big, it needs to be delivered. But if you go to market and you have an ad out there and it doesn't touch people 5 to 7 times, it has a headline that just says what it is and not how it's better, and it doesn't include a special offer, limited time, get an extra gift, your conversion rates are going to be a lot lower. And you will have spent money on advertising that didn't convert well. The worst thing you can do is have ads that don't convert well and then think ads don't work. Ads do work, but they have to be done, like most things, properly. If you are not sure what to offer, check out the competition, because chances are the thing that you're providing has been provided by somebody somewhere else in the world. And I had a karate studio client, it was really funny. So he was offering a free lesson. And we went out and looked, and everybody else was offering a free lesson and the outfit. Now you can imagine a mom who takes her kid to a karate lesson and puts them in the cute little karate outfit, and the kids doing the full karate. Yeah, they sign up immediately for 6 months worth of lessons because of the outfit. So if you're not sure what to offer, or you think you know what to offer, but you want to just take another look at the competition, go out, see what everybody else is offering. And at a minimum, you should match their offer. And then if you can be more creative about it, then that's even better.
Is there a question
Yeah.
on that? Sorry to interrupt. Question on the service business. What about offering like a free 30-minute consultation as kind of an introductory offer?
Consultations are tough because everyone who signs up for one knows it's a sales pitch, right? And it's really funny. So humans generally feel like you're not allowed to lie. The only time that is broken is when you're talking to a salesperson. Everyone feels that it's okay to lie to them. I know, it's crazy. So the free 20-minute consultation, I think, is definitely something you can offer. It should be offered, but you need to up the ante, because the person is not going to call you until they're so far along that they think they actually want to use you. Back in the day, it was crazy. Before the internet, you had to call somebody and talk to them, and they gave you their pitch. And then you call another sales guy and they give you their pitch, and another sales guy. And that's how you got information about, what do I really want to buy? Which consultant do I want to use? What's best for me? That doesn't happen anymore. Now everybody goes to the web and they compare you based on your websites. So one of the things I do recommend to all clients is to go out and look at other people's websites and find 2 or 3 that you think really showcase well. Typically, those are the websites where someone's actually paying for ads. So you might have 10 people who are doing what you're doing, but 2 of them are paying for ads. Their websites are usually better because they're going to they're spending money on ads. They're going to make sure that those websites actually convert. But websites are really that 5 to 7 touch point. So 1 to 4 is more like, I was in a newspaper article, like PR things. I was at an event. And that's the beginning of the touches. And then people will go to the website, and that's where the consideration phase happens. So I guess the long answer is you should offer it, but it's not enough. You need something else. And I would say for consultants, it's usually a PDF download of some information they can't get on their own. So my favorite download is a piece of research. 10 things that all CEOs are worried about right now. Well, I'm a CEO and I don't get to chat with a lot of other CEOs. So this is my opportunity to find out what 10 other CEOs are thinking about this subject. I might download that and give you my information. Once you have the email, which you've probably heard people say, collect emails, collect emails. The reason you collect emails is so that you can keep at them and
Yeah.
get to that 5 to 7 range.
It's a great suggestion on the providing some content. We do have a question on the number of touches from Michael. It says, from your view, to what extent would it be the case that organizations with a social/environmental cause that also create memorable design slogans in their ads indicate why their product or service ads benefit the society only largely require 1 to 2 touches before people purchase or / do the call to action?
It all depends. So I did a lot of work in nonprofit space. So I worked for a nonprofit called Smile Train. And Smile Train, they actually, when someone has a cleft palate, a baby in a developing country, they don't have the ability to fix it, even though in the US, you just sew it up and you're done and you have a fine life. So they know that the Smile Train donors only donate once and they donate a lot. Conversely, I work for Child Fund and they have donors that donate a tiny bit, like $5 a month, but they donate every month forever because they want to sponsor a child. So I think when you have something with a social mission, the most important thing is to figure out what kind of donor do you have. Do you have one that, is a once and done, you have the picture of the sad baby, they give their money and that's it? Or do you have one where you want to give time and time and time again? And it all depends on, once you have that, right, what kind of donor you have, then you can figure out which vehicle is the best way to get to them. But yes, sad babies in difficult situations who don't have a lot, don't have the basic needs met, it'll be less touches because we feel.
Great, thanks.
So then the last part, I guess, about special offers, this is like sort of a bonus tip. So you can go out to the market, pay for an ad, put your special offer in and convert people, right? A cheaper way to do that is to find 2 other businesses that have the same target audience as you. So the example I usually use is like a nail salon, a hair salon, and maybe a massage therapist, right? So they each have 100 customers. They could do a joint promotion together where they offer $500 value for $299 or $250 special gift and promote it to all their current customers. What that means is that hair salon had 100 and now she has 300 customers. That nail salon had 100 and now she has 300 customers. Plus, because it's a special offer gift, I might buy it for my sister, my cousin, my mom, and now I've increased the outreach of that offer and I didn't do any ads. I just posted it on social and it became a thing. So there are other ways besides advertising that you can use in order to draw people in, and they're usually special offer based. All right, I hope you're still with me. Number 5, woo, 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 woo. You are wasting your money if you don't invest in high-end photography. I tell people all the time, cheap website, expensive photos. When we are buying things, especially when you see them on Instagram or Facebook, we're buying the photo. We're not buying the object in the photo. I can take a picture of a shirt, and in one case, you won't buy it at all, and take a second picture of that same shirt, and you're like, oh my God, I'll pay $100 for that. And the only difference is the magic of photography and somebody who does it really well. So the other thing to know, and I think I mentioned this before, is literally people don't read. So now you'll say, but Sarah, I read every word. Yes, 20% of the people read every single word and they have very high anxiety and we love them because they become engineers and keep our bridges up. But people who read through the entire thing are the minority. Most people only look at the pictures and the headlines and then they make an app. They say, am I going to invest the time to continue reading? That's what we do. Photo, image. Do I want to read the article? Do I want to buy the item? So, the other good thing about photos is that they can be used and reused over and over and over again. So the first places the photos can be used is on the website, right? Websites now are very, very cheap to put together if you have good photography. If you don't have good photography and you try one of these build your own website things, they never come out very nicely. No, they don't. But you have beautiful photography, all of a sudden, all of these inexpensive website builder tools, you put your photos in it and the site looks really great. So you can use them on your website, you can use them in email, you can send them out via social. And then one of the things about social media is you can resend the same photo 6 months later, 4 months later, because we don't remember. And most people, like some people didn't see it the first time. And you can use those photos on posters and signage at events. So if there's one place to spend money, it would be in photography, because you get that money back in spades, because you're going to make all these things. And if you don't have the right photography for them, they're not going to convert well. If they don't convert well, then you've just wasted a whole bunch of money. So photos, yes, photos. Oh, the other mini tip on photos is that if you take a photo, there's 3 sizes. There's a wide shot, a medium shot, and a close up. You can take a wide shot photo and then crop it to do the medium and the close up. So you can actually take one photo and be able to use it 3 times. And then sometimes with the crops, you can crop different corners and actually get 4 more photos out of it. So that's a really good way to save money, is to take more wide angle shots and then go in and crop them and then use just the crop on social or the crop on the website. Number 6, you could be wasting money if you hire your SEO expert too soon. Oh my goodness, I've had so many clients who are like, I hired an SEO expert. The way that Google works, the way that all search engines work, is if you don't have a lot of traffic, you will not show up on the top of the list. Full stop. So when you first launch your site, you don't have a lot of traffic, you're competing with sites across the world, you're just not going to end up at the top. So then these SEO experts come in and go, oh, well, add keywords to your site, and we'll do this to your site, and we'll do that to your site. The truth is that for SEO starting out, all you need is a Google My Business page with 10 to 15 good reviews. Now on your website, there may be some optimizations you can do for search, but all those keywords, they do not matter if you only have 5 people coming to your website, or 500 or 5,000. It's not enough people. What Google did was they realized that only these big high traffic sites were showing up on the list. So they created the map, little map in the corner, the local map. So when you type in plumber, the top traffic plumbing websites come up, which are nowhere near Simsbury, Connecticut. And then I click on the map and the map shows me all the plumbers in Simsbury. So that's Google's solution, is that map to having local providers show up. So it's really, really important that you have a Google My Business page so that you can appear on that map. And then on top of having a Google My Business page, which is free, is to actually have reviews in there. Google reviews show up not only in Google, but they actually show up in many places. People use those Google reviews and replicate them across the web. But an SEO expert could actually harm your business too if they start doing some of these tactics. There's like a bunch of tactics to try to outwit Google, which only work for a limited time because Google changes their algorithm probably monthly, maybe in a significant way every 3 months. And then they have to do all these sort of, building extra sites, having those sites linked to your site. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. But if Google sniffs out and thinks that you're doing something crazy, they will blacklist you and there's nobody to call. There's nobody to call when Google decides your website is not going to be listed anymore. So always be good on the good side of SEO and wait until you have high traffic in order to pay for your SEO expert. All right. Number 7, you could be wasting money if you spend your entire ad budget with Google. So back in the day, I've been doing this a long, long time, I could go to Google and get an ad for 5 cents a click. So I could get 20 humans to my website for $1. And as marketers, we were thrilled. We're like, we can send thousands of people to our website for no money. That's not the case anymore. So in order to get a locally targeted ad for something as simple as a car wash, it's $5 a click now. So what's happened is the pricing for this channel has gone up so high that now I'm thinking to myself, I can send a postcard for 60 cents. And the postcard would go to a house and I could get how many postcards for that same amount of money. So part of marketing is thinking about not only where you want to place your ads, but how much each of those channels cost at that moment. And then the super tricky part is that Google changes their prices minute by minute. But there are tools to be able to, put an ad in there and get an estimate for what it's going to cost. So what I typically tell clients is spend $100 on Google, find out what your cost per click is, and then compare it against your other options. If I'm comparing it against a billboard, it may come out cheaper. If I'm comparing it against a postcard, it may come out more expensive. So you could be wasting money if you just go, oh, well, everybody's on Google and I want to go to Google. The other issue too with Google is if you have a service-based business, like let's say I'm a financial advisor, right? I'm asking someone to invest a large amount of their money with me. They're not going to do that through a Google ad, right? There are certain things like a mug. I will buy a mug through Google ad, no problem. But once we get to the next level of product or service that's in the high end range, they might find out about you through Google, but it's just the beginning. So I'm not going to put like, I have this financial services firm and you're going to click on the ad and then call me. It takes a lot more to get someone over the hump if you have something that's an expensive item. And I would say the threshold is probably, it changes based on income, cost of living, all that sort of thing. But anything under $100, and you could probably be okay with Google. But once you get over $100, $500, it's just going to be the tip of the spear. So it's not going to be something where you put an ad out there, somebody clicks on it, it's like, here's 50 grand for you to invest of my money. The other places that you can advertise that are not Google, Facebook, Instagram, and then what I just mentioned was Every Door Direct Mail. It's called EDDM, but it's called Every Door Direct Mail postcards from the United States Postal Service. The USPS, I don't know, you guys probably have seen this, where come election time, you get all these cards in the mail from all the candidates. They use EDDM, or Every Door Direct Mail. And what it does is you can buy for very, very cheap a postcard to be delivered to every home in this in this area. So what marketers do a lot of times is we'll go look at household income, and based on a product, we will want to advertise in certain areas and not in others. If I have a discount product, I might advertise it in a low income area. If I have a middle of the road product, I might advertise it in a middle of the road income. And then if I have a luxury product, I'm only going to stay and do ads in towns that are able to pay for luxury items. So by us, it's kind of like Simsbury, Avon, Farmington, they're more luxury. So I might do an Every Door Direct Mail postcard campaign and have the USPS drop off a postcard at every house in these 3 towns if I'm selling a luxury item. You'll also see realtors use it. Realtors use it a lot because they're selling a house and they know, wherever the house is being sold, they want to let all those homeowners know that they are a realtor, and if they wanted to sell their house, that they sold one in the neighborhood. So before you spend all your money in Google, I would say do a test run of about $100, figure out what your cost per click is, and then compare it against your other options out there.
Hey, Sarah, we got a question, another question from Michael. He had a follow-up question on the number of touches, which I guess I can do now. You were talking about kind of Smile Train as an example of something. He had a question about for-profits that have a social mission. Do they require more touches compared to nonprofits because people want to be charitable? He also has a follow-up question on Google versus other advertising platforms. But what do you think about that first one?
The charitable part helps. And I would even encourage for-profits to create a partnership with a charity in order to promote both of them. That is a great way to go. But a for-profit, I'm trying to think of like the Paul Newman, sauces, and it goes to charity. Yeah, anything with that's mission driven, even something for the PTA. If you're doing a special, for those parents out there, the PTA will say, oh, buy subs from Subway and a portion of the proceeds will go to. So yes, it would reduce the number of touches if you have some sort of like warm, fuzzy social mission part. I did some work for the National Resources Defense Council, the NRDC, and they found out that polar bears beat out penguins for our heartstrings. So when you do these sort of promotions out there, even if they have a social angle, you need to go head to head with two different options and see which one's better, at least in the beginning, so that you don't end up wasting money. So they were sending out adorable penguin postcards, right? And it turns out that polar bears work a lot better.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the sock company, which the name is escaping me right now, where when they started, they basically said for every pair that they sold, they would donate a pair to some cause. I forget what it was, which just really helped their brand. So another question that he had, and Lori's got a question as well in the different kind of ways to advertise. So Michael's was, I know that Facebook is highly targeted based on people's psychographics, but how do Google, Twitter, and other non-Facebook owned companies compare, and how targeted the ads are that we'd be paying for?
It's actually complicated, but Google knows everything about all of us. So back in the day, before there was any of these platforms, there were catalogs. And the catalogs basically figured out where we lived, what kind of things we liked. And if we bought from J. Crew, we would also buy from Gap. And then they would send us catalogs. And then if we didn't buy anything, they'd send us the same catalog with a different picture on it. So these platforms are so sophisticated that they know everything about all of us. Google uses where we go and track and what we search for in order to figure out who we are and what kind of things we like. And it's all AI based, artificial intelligence based now. So it's not even as simple as like this person likes, long walks on a beach with a, cocktail. So you can target on Google. The only thing that's come about, which is really new, which is pretty great, is you can't target employment ads based on gender or other demographics. So there was this weird thing that happened where the high-paying $100,000 jobs never went to women, and it was a big snafu. So now there's been a lot of regulations that have been coming down saying that you can't target certain things that you want to sell. You can't sell them and target by, gender, ethnicity, some of these other things. But each of these tools lets you know, like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google all have a portion of the ad creation process where you get to decide which age group, which gender, and then they eliminate those if the thing that you're selling is prohibited to be sold that way. But everybody knows everything about us. It's just the way that it is these days, which actually there's a new thing, which is kind of crazy. So privacy has become a big thing. And now there's some regulations in California, there's some regulations in Europe that say, you can't target me, you have to ask me before you can target me. So one of the things as marketers is we could get in front of you and then you could visit our website, but that's only 2 touches. So I got an ad, I got a website, and I got to get to 5 to 7. So we use something called retargeting ads. The retargeting ads was a little cookie we drop on your computer that says that you saw us before. And it would only show the ads to people who had been to our website. And it was beautiful for marketers because I could get my frequency from 2 touches up to 5. And I wouldn't have to pay for other people. I could only pay for the people who had gone to my website, which indicates they were interested, right? So I was really optimizing my budget because I was only hitting people that had clicked to my website once, and I just kept hitting them. So there's a pair of shoes. I looked at a pair of shoes, and those dang shoes followed me around the internet. I looked at a sewing machine. You do not need 2 sewing machines. I bought a sewing machine, and now all of a sudden sewing machines everywhere. But as marketers, we know we need to get back in front of you over and over again. And the wealthier companies will do that via ads. They'll just pay their way to it. Because of these new privacy rules, we can't do that anymore. Bah, bah, bah. But don't worry, we marketers are terrible. We'll find a way. Where there's a will, where there is a way. So all of these platforms, I guess in summary, will give you a way to target. Some of them use AI, so you may not want to target. You may want to let the platform do its thing. It takes about, I would say, a month or 2 before it figures out who's the best converting. So you have to know that going in. that it's going to take a month or two for your algorithm to figure out who's really going to buy your thing. But at the end of the day, Google, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they want people to click through because they earn money on that. They want to find the best audience for you. They want them to click through and buy. If they don't click through and buy, you don't keep advertising. So it's a wild world out there.
Well, that's good. It's a good answer. It's definitely eye-opening, especially as you see what comes through on your website traffic. Lori has a question. We're a 100% remote business providing a niche service. Our clients are all over the country. Do you still recommend Facebook and Instagram in this instance?
Yes, and then I would target by topic or something that they like. So I love that it's a niche business. I've had a lot of clients who have a business and then they are like, well, I'm selling, I don't know, computer accessories, right? But I can get computer accessories at Target. I can get computer accessories at Staples. I can get computer accessories at the gas station. And then you're competing with every other online retailer. So if you are online only, being in a niche is critical to survival. Once you're in that niche, one of the things we do as marketers is we actually say, okay, people who like golf also like XYZ. And then as part of our filtering mechanism for the ad, we'll put, okay, they also like steak or whatever the other things are that, and that's a way that we'll target. So if we can't target by geography, or maybe we're not targeting by gender because it's like it could be a women's only product, so you wouldn't want men to see it. If the demographics aren't there, then we use other things, other indicators. Typically people who donate again. People who don't donate, never donate. So we have a lot of rules in marketing about how people behave. It's fascinating.
Good. I think that's all the questions so far. You want to keep going?
Yes. Okay. Number 8, you could be wasting your money if, you promote your business instead of your product. Okay. So people are very literal, right? They don't typically have a great imagination, which is why we love movies, because the movies are like, can't believe this is happening, on this, far off land. So when we promote our business, we're usually promoting a concept. We provide, and then some generic words that encompass like, what would be a good example? A good example would be like auto parts, like things to fix your car. And the ad that we create ends up becoming too generic. So what we want to do instead is find out which product do we sell the most of and use that as the hook in order to bring someone to our website. So if it's batteries that die, or if it's windshield wipers or whatever, I might put 2 or 3 of those top products in a gallery, and that will convert a whole lot better than a generic ad for an auto parts store, because the auto parts store doesn't remind me of the things that I need to replace. So if I have an ad that has like air filters, windshield wipers, maybe some car cleaner or whatever, I am more likely to click on that and get through. So you could be leaving money on the table if you have this generic ad. And you only find that out by doing that. You'll do these sort of ads that are about sell your business. Like, we do massage therapy. Instead of doing, we have a $99 facial, $50 massage, pedicure, you want to go product based in order to give people ideas about something that they could actually buy, as opposed to the concept of your business. I did talk a little bit about remarketing ads, but that is a thing that's changing right now. So that's in flux. Remarketing ads still exist, but basically when you promote a product, the minute they land on your website with remarketing ads, we can show you that product later. So if it was the windshield wipers that got you, we can follow you around the internet with windshield wipers, and it's effective. So if you're not using remarketing ads, you'd be leaving money on the table. The challenge with remarketing ads now, I don't know how many of you have iPhones, but there's now privacy on iPhones where I can't quite they don't necessarily let me follow you because Google and Apple are in a never ending fight for world dominance. All right, two more. Can we make it? Can we get there? All right, number 9, you could be wasting money if you try to cover all your social media platforms. Oh my gosh, social media is a complete time pit. You just throw time in there and throw time in there and throw time in there, and you don't necessarily get the value back from it. Everything you read is going to say, I went online and in 3 weeks I made $1 million. They're lying. That's not the way that it works. Social media is exactly like what happens when you go to a fair in your town or a party. You start to get to know people and you create relationships, and it's slow. So if you try to be on every platform, you're gonna, small businesses especially, you're gonna be thin. You're gonna stretch yourself thin. The rule is that if you want to create an audience that's big enough to monetize, and that means an audience that you can sell things to that will reliably buy those things. I had a client once who sold like gothic decor, so like scary door knockers and like, but her clients bought every couple months, they buy another item. And it takes a year. It takes a year of posting great content on one platform in order to have an audience big enough to monetize. Typically, conversion rates are like 2 to 5%. If you get a 5% conversion rate, you're a rock star. But that means you got to be in front of 100 people and you're going to get 5 of them to purchase. You got to go find another 100 people. Whew, marketing is not for the faint of heart. So you want to be on one platform and you want to do it really, really well, which if we harken back to the photography comment, if you have great photography, you can, fill up your Instagram feed and keep posting great Instagram content for an entire year. You may have enough people that you can go after. If you don't have a budget, you don't have time because you're running the business, you're creating the product, you're pitching the clients, then you just want to do the baseline for social media. You want to have a nice social feed with pretty pictures and a couple of headlines just to make sure that it's not empty and that it looks good. And what that does is when someone hears about you through an article, through an ad you ran, through some sort of postcard you sent, if they come, they're going to binge read your feed. That binge reading is more important to you than posting at a certain time and thinking that people are going to see it and then, add to cart or connect. So if you have a limited budget, stay with just a really nice feed that the purpose of is to look good when someone binge reads it the first time. The next level up is to take one platform and just nail it for a year. And that means a lot of blog writing, a lot of YouTube video creation, a lot of Instagram photos, and a whole content plan for the whole year. You do not want to do social media in real time. Even the reality TV shows that we see on TV are not real. You want to have a content plan, otherwise you'll go nuts. Because you're like, what am I posting today? What am I posting today? And then as a whole, it won't come together and be a really great feed. So every platform has its own audience. You do not need to be on all of them. If you're going to go in on one, pick one and do it really, really well.
It's great advice, Sarah. Shonda had a question about Instagram Reels. How has that influenced what's going on with marketing and social media now?
Oh my gosh, everything is crazy. They're all merging. So even on Facebook, you have Reels, and Facebook, you have stories. And so I'll tell you a Facebook story before I get to Instagram. But back in the day on Facebook, you had a Facebook page. And everything you posted on that page would be shown to people who like you. That's not the case anymore. Only 5% of people who like you see what's on your Facebook page, see what you post on your Facebook page. So Facebook kind of turned that dial down. And the reason is they want you to boost the post. If you boost the post, you're paying them money. So now, in order to get in front of the people who already like you, you have to pay to get in front of them. On Facebook, you also have Facebook stories. If you post a Facebook story, all those people who like you will see it, right? And then you have Facebook Reels. And then you have the Facebook community groups. So when I talk about all these platforms, they're not just one thing. There's actually like 4 or 5 ways to post on each of these platforms, like on Instagram with Instagram Reels. And on top of posting on these platforms, you can also just, the easiest way is just to make an ad and have it show up in somebody else's feed. If you're trying to build an audience and monetize an audience, you can do that. Just know that you're in it for a year, right? So I find that because of the way people post things, because of the content people are putting out there, it's all, I did this and 5 days later I had 5 million followers, and it's just not the reality of it. I hope that helps.
Definitely.
Any other ones, or can we go to number 10? This is it.
One more question before we get to number 10. You talked earlier about kind of having your website feature photos of your products and good quality photos and the ads. Michael had a question. So if the ads for companies selling products should feature products to remind them of the relevance to their lives, for companies providing a service, would they show images and write about benefits, features, or something else altogether?
It depends what kind of service. Like if it's a salon and I'm doing a service, I want to see the hair. I want to see the hair done, right? If we're talking about like HR consulting services, I want to see about assessment tests. I want to see a really nice image that reflects like the assessment tests you could do, the groups that you can convene and educate in order to improve employee satisfaction or whatever, the surveys that you can do. So the images that you would pick would represent each of the services. That's one way that I would go about it.
So it's really about trying to provide that connection to what you provide to the customer, whether it's something they can see or touch or read. It's providing that connection.
Yeah, because HR services is a concept. Financial literacy is a concept. But if you tell me that I can get, this specific assessment test, you can do these workshops with my people, you can do these, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I do need a workshop. Oh yeah, I could use, some more assessment tests for new employees to figure out what their, what things would satisfy them going forward. What do they need? Are they introverts? Are they extroverts? And how does that affect employee retention, which is a big, big deal these days. Employees are like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to work. So keeping them happy and figuring out what makes each person happy. If I saw an ad about that, I would be interested. 10 things that help you retain your employees might be another way that I would do it. So instead of just promoting the services with an image that represents a service, I might also promote a special thought leadership piece or answer to the biggest question that my target audience has that I provide the service for.
So a follow-up question on that one, which I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one, but William had, what if you're in the hair removal business? That's a very personal service, and trying to provide good content for that.
Hair removal for ladies. That's an interesting one. I think the afters, before and afters, is kind of a thing. There's a lot of eyebrow ads out there that I would look at. So it's interesting, yeah, but you definitely want to talk about the services, and you want to know which of your services brings new people in. And you want to combine your services with another, company or business owner who shares the same target audience. And maybe it's a spa day, there's laser hair removal, maybe it's like skincare, right? So a lot of times when you're doing the hair removal, you want tighter skin. So you want to think about, and if you don't know the answer, go ask the customer. I found so many small business owners that don't want to go ask somebody because it's embarrassing. It doesn't feel good, it feels bad. But when you ask them, And you don't say like, would you use my service? Because everyone typically feels embarrassed and they'll go, yes, I will, and they will not. So you ask more open-ended questions and you say like, what would you like in addition to hair removal? Like, what are the other things that you do to take care of yourself? And whatever comes out of their mouth, that's your marketing answer. Go find a business owner who provides that, create a joint offer, and go to market with it.
It's great. It's a great idea. All right. I think we're ready for number 10.
Oh, are you ready? Oh, this might be not as exciting. You could be wasting your money if you don't track your marketing efforts. So a lot of times I'll have a small business owner and they're spread so thin. And the idea of tracking is like a great idea, but the actual physical tracking never happens. And what happens is they start doing a newspaper ad and then they just keep doing it. And so you end up wasting money because the newspaper ad doesn't produce anything, but you didn't put any tracking in place to tell whether the newspaper ad was working or not. A long, long time ago, I used to, back when I was a young whippersnapper, I was the call center for NYU. And people would call in and there would be ads all over the subway, all over everywhere. And they'd say, call this number, extension 121, extension 349, extension whatever. They'd always get me. Every extension was me. And the extension told me which school they were interested in, whether it was a law school or the engineering school or the dental school. And then I'd have to make a little mark about how many people were calling in about which things. So when we talk about tracking, a lot of times people will think about a technical solution to tracking. And you can do that if you use Google Analytics. There is something you should learn, and it's how to create a custom URL. And the custom URL, you just put a little word at the end that says where the ad's appearing. And then you can look in your Google Analytics to see who's coming in from which place. But you don't have to. It can be very manual. I was working for a car wash. I did some work for a car wash. He's like, these guys are washing cars. There's no computers. So we had a clipboard. And when they came in with, postcard A, we got one. When they came in with postcard B, they got in a little thing in the other column, and we could tell which postcard actually did better. Because at the end of the day, marketing is about trial and error. And it's like fishing. As you find a spot where all the fish are, you don't want to spend any more time or money in the spots where there aren't any fish. And I usually do with all ads, you do two versions. They go head to head. Rarely, but sometimes they'll actually be the same. And that just blows your mind. But usually one will win over the other. And this message doesn't work. This message does. This image doesn't work. This image does. But you have to be tracking it. And if tracking using technology stresses you out, find another way to do it with a fake extension, a coupon code that a lot of times the coupon code will be like Google 20, Facebook 20, Instagram 20, and it's all the same 20% off. But I now know which of those three things drove you to me. So,
all right. So I think we've got a few more minutes for any final questions. We do have one from Alec that just came in. Do you have any final comments before we go to final Q&A?
Just super quick summary. I know you guys have been listening for a long time, so thank you. But plan to get in front of a customer 5 to 7 times. If you only hit them 4 times, you just wasted all that money. Narrow your target audience. Even if your product applies to a large audience, pick your best one and narrow it down so that those marketing messages can relate to their life and bring them in, convert better. Make sure you're communicating how you're better or faster or more convenient or the senses, you like the way that looks or feels or tastes. That's going to help you convert better. Always think about a special offer. If it's a product, it could be a discount. If it's luxury, it's an add-on. If it's a service or a high-end kind of consulting service, then your special offer is usually content, something that they couldn't get on their own, some data stat that they couldn't, that they want to know, and they'll give you your email address to get it. Do not overspend on search engine optimization before you're big enough. Do not overspend on a fancy website. Consider trying out Google Ads, but check out your cost per click and then figure out whether the other channels or other ad channels are going to be less expensive. Don't spend all your time or pay somebody to spend all their time on social media doing all the channels. Just pick the one that you think is going to have the most impact for you and go all in for a year and spend the time to learn how to track your marketing efforts with either technology or decide on a way to do it manually so that you can always be getting rid of bad ads and moving towards your best ad. That's it.
I was on mute there. Great tips across the board. Alec had a question. Is it still important for brands to differentiate themselves from their category? For instance, almost every bank is using similar photography in their ads, and a lot of it is quality photography. Should brands spend money coming up with a unique positioning concept to differentiate themselves, or are we finding ourselves in a time when tactics have rendered campaign concepts moot?
That's actually a really good one. So the answer is sometimes. So the question, the way that it works is, it does looking like everyone else put you in contention for the conversion, or does looking different give you an edge? Financial services, being different is not a good thing in financial services. It's not. In fashion, it's critical. You cannot look like other people. You have to have your own image and look, because that's what you're selling. In financial services, if you look too relaxed, not so buttoned up, I feel stressed because this is my money. I need you to look like everyone else, which is why Citibank and Chase, everybody is a different shade of blue, but they're all generally blue. They also, a lot of them have serif fonts because that makes us feel safe. So I think it all depends on which industry that you're in. The best advertising typically is funny. There are some cases where you can't use humor. So everything depends on basically people and society and where we are in pop culture. So every phase of our life, we learn different things. We're attracted to different things. So when I was younger, I was thinking of getting a tattoo. That is not happening in my life. So I can latch on to those moments in life, and I can come up with a really great ad campaign that'll connect with that person at that time. If you fast forward 20 years in the future or 20 years in the past, that same ad doesn't work. And it's because even though I'm at the same life stage, the world around me is different. In the 70s, we were a certain way. In the 80s, we were a certain way. 90s, the aughts, 2000s. I can't even believe we're in 2022. I feel like we're in the future. So one of the exciting things about marketing is it's a process and it's dependent on people. So I would say if you're selling something conservative, no, you want to look just like everyone else and have maybe an interesting headline, or you can have your pocket square, but you still got to be wearing your suit. If you are in a creative field selling something creative, you can absolutely go wild and you don't want to look like anyone else.
Great advice to think about it from your customer, which industry you're in. All right. We got one last question, Sarah, if you're okay with one last one from Michael, who's asked some great questions today. Thank you, Michael. Under what conditions could a small business owner experience digital marketing success with their website if they were not to add Facebook pixels, Google pixels, or other company pixels to their site to protect website visitor privacy? Could being highly intuitive, knowing where the people are for us to target ads to be enough instead of using Google Analytics and other free helpful tools that would sacrifice the privacy?
It's actually a good one. So marketers in general are not concerned about privacy because it hurts our ability to get something we know you like in front of you, right? So marketers are not really looking to spam everyone. We don't want to spend money on people who aren't willing to buy the thing we're selling. We earn points. We keep the client if we can find the right people for the least amount of money. So when privacy becomes like a moral issue for you and you don't want it to be as part of your website, I'm not sure that it matters as much, because the human who's seeing an ad, coming to your website and buying or not buying doesn't notice any of the tracking. They're still going to evaluate the mug based on the mug. They're going to look at the car you're trying to sell and whether or not they want to buy it. So the only thing that changes is the amount of money you have to spend in order to get that person, because you're not going to be able to optimize your spend. You're going to have to go wider. You're not going to necessarily be able to get back at them using remarketing ads. So you may have to get their email on the website when they show up that one time. You've got to get that email. Without that email, you can't get back at them. Without that, their mobile number, you can't get back at them. So the only result that it has is you spend more money.
Great advice. All right, Sarah, I want to thank you again. This has been fantastic. Where can folks find you?
Oh, it should be on the screen.
We can see it.
FletcherDigital.com. That's where I am all the time. And if you have follow-up questions, I'm pretty relaxed. So just email me. I shall answer you. If you want to do 20-minute session, that's available too, free. I just really like solving problems, and I really like connecting with people. So if your problem is connecting with people, that's what I do.
Fantastic. So once again, a copy of this recording will be sent out. If folks would like to revisit the content, it'll be available on our YouTube channel, where we have got a host of webinars out there that we have done over the last year or so. So be sure to check those out. And once again, if you need any help with your business, if you're looking for a mentor, any resources, you can go to score.org and check that out. And we will make these slides available as well for folks to revisit. I want to thank everybody for joining today. Thank you for your engagement and great questions. And Sarah, once again, thank you. And hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Happy marketing.